Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we continued on with our Void Crusade and we are on our last two missions, but first we're going to run a boss mission. Yeah, it says seasonal boss mission available. It took me a second. I was like, am I going insane? I am not. Alright, this is gonna suck, but we're giving them the heat resist. Not happy about it, but anything for extra rewards. I was kind of hoping we'd be able to pull something that would give me an extra spawn. Really hoping it's Death Shroud Terminators this time, but I don't think I'm gonna be that lucky. So I have some interesting news, and you probably have seen this already, but I wanted to wait because it was one of those big breaking stories for gaming that I was like, nah, we gotta wait on this. China imposing new laws for gaming. Now, from the layperson's perspective, this means nothing. You know, why do I care what the Chinese government has to say about Chinese games? Well, they had enacted additional restrictions. Keep in mind, they have limited how little, kids can play games to, a couple hours a week. Only a couple hours on the weekends. You have to use your ID to actually log in, and they track your playtime. It's extreme. They recently, keep in mind this, they didn't pass these laws I'm about to go over. There was a draft that came out. So this was just, hey, here's what we're thinking. They were considering banning and punishing studios that provided daily login rewards. They were going to punish studios that did rewards for adding additional money or topping up. There was going to be a spending limit of, I believe, I have it written down. I don't have it written down. I'm stupid. It was around $57 per day. There was also a thing making it so there is no non-consensual PvP. So this would have absolutely punched EVE Online in the nuts, because when your game is essentially I say it could punch the nuts, but I also think they would just kind of mealy-mouth their way around it, because the idea is the Chinese government's like, well, we want people to have to flag themselves for PvP. Well, EVE would make the argument, and the CCP Shanghai studio would go, well, undocking is flagging for PvP. Which, I mean, if you really want to make that argument, yeah. But it's kind of a dumb one. This more applies for, I don't even know if it's available in China, but RuneScape, where there were areas that were free PvP, and you could just get jumped. I remember stories of people luring new players into these areas and then just pummeling them senseless. But it was stuff like that. There was, I think I have more written down. Oh, restrictions on auctioning digital items. And there was more, but those were kind of the big noteworthy things. And this draft got so out of hand around Christmas that overnight the stock value and the industry value in China lost about $80 billion. And if what I read is correct, Tencent took about $50 billion of that loss on the chin. And not only did they take a hit, I can't remember, I think it was they lost like 25% of their stock value then and there. NetEase lost like 15%, and even Nexon, which is South Korean, took a hit because their market is so heavily focused in China. And I saw people going, oh, they're gonna cause the collapse of Tencent. They won't be able to buy up any more studios or invest in more, and we're all saved. I knew it wasn't gonna go through. The second that happened, I said, that is too much of a loss. They're gonna walk it back. And they did. That was a very clear mistake that they couldn't let slide. Now, will they try it again in the future? Probably. Odds are they'll make these changes incremental. It'll just be, oh, this month we're going to punish top-ups. Okay, 2 months later, now we're going to punish daily logins. So on and so forth. Slowly getting this stuff out instead of putting it all in a lump situation. Which I completely understand. Those changes would have required some of these studios to completely rebuild their game. Or at least rebuild their monetization. And that is a very, very large ask. And of course, a big thing with that is, and this is actually something I've seen discussed, was within professional circles, like, how do you keep monetization good? How do you have a solid monetization method? And one of the things people weren't really bringing up is, when it comes to monetization, it's regional. How many Western free-to-play games do you know of that do weapon rentals? I'm waiting, because that are active, to my knowledge, there are none. The last game I know of that did weapon rentals was Blacklight Retribution. Past that, in the West, that doesn't fly. And I'm not going to accept, like, PlanetSide, oh, you can test fire a gun in the VR training area. That's not rental. You could argue Warface, but Warface is, at this point, Russian. It's Eastern European. And most of their market isn't the US anymore. It isn't the West. It is mostly Asia. Asian FPS games, they still use that method because it still works. But just people not understanding monetization and then the government walking it back, which I'm not surprised by. And there's more, I'll get into it once I get to the next mission. Dump all that. Alright, let's actually compare and contrast these. That's disappointing that it's worse, because that barrage is good. It's only a 4 stat. The bolt pistol's okay, but not the greatest. Have to reroll 2 on this, but that wouldn't be bad, cause bleeding on physical skill hit. Because then I could just keep stacking debuffs. But the existing Signum is already built entirely for the shotgun. So I guess we'll just kind of dump everything. Bit of a shame, but it is what it is. And we can use that up. A lot of blueprints I gotta sell. Kinda wish they'd just turn into money automatically, but oh well. Now our last mission is here, and then we go here. Now to read out the thing I had to actually write down to completely understand. So, when the Chinese government walked back their draft, they fired the head of publishing within the publicity department, which oversees the National Press and Publication Administration, which regulates gaming. So they fired a guy who's like 3 offices up for his blunder, when it really wasn't his fault, because it was just the rules that were being handed down. They also ended up going through and allowing... because games don't get just released in China. They don't just go, oh, this follows, ESRB or PEGI. They're like, no, you have to follow our stringent rules, which... it's kind of like how it is in like Saudi Arabia or Russia or these other nations where they're like, okay, you have your rules, but we restrict certain things, but Chinese government's a lot more strict on it. But so they went through and allowed, I've heard mixed things, I've heard some people say 40 games, some people say 100, just to try to cause a rebound, but realistically, I don't think things will not cause a rebound that they expect, because while yes, a rebound will happen, one will always happen. That happens when you walk back rules that were going to be bad. There's also going to be that layer of distrust, and you never recoup 100%. But like I said, I knew it wasn't going to go through 100% then and there when it first came out. The rules were too big. It was too far-reaching, and it wasn't tenable. The whole industry would have had to change their tune then and there, and it would have been just a massive, massive undertaking. And I saw this actually on a lot of, everywhere from gaming news to international news, this stuff got brought up. And it is interesting, but it was just goofy rules. Oh, I just remembered another rule they had, which was they were wanting to punish gacha mechanics, which games coming out of Asia and gacha mechanics go hand in hand. So saying we don't want that anymore is absurd. But of course the rules, the way they were worded, a lot of it is within acceptable means, or things like that. What they wanted to do, or what the path of least resistance from studios for that gacha thing would be, because they wanted players to be able to just acquire things instead of having to gamble for them. And I saw this brought up by a lot of people. What would likely happen is, if you've never played any gacha game, when stuff comes out, it's under a banner, which is just like, I play a Dragon Ball game, and they had a banner that was, hey, here's the new character, and it's Goku, and then you could activate a special ability, and he switches to Bardock. And they would each have their own health pools and their own resistances and whatnot. And you could either pay crystals to get draws in the banner to get the stuff. But if this rule were to go through, there would likely be an option that's like, hey, if there's a mercy rule, which a lot of these games implement, and it's, let's say there's a mercy rule at 180 draws, and each draw is $2. What the game would likely do at that point is say, you can do the normal draws from the banner, or you can instantly trigger the mercy rule, pay us $360, which is how much it would cost, and you just get the character outright. Would people do it? Yeah. People are addicts. I was gonna say they're crazy, but literally that's all it is. It is addiction. Gacha pulls, I don't spend my own money, I just spend what they give me, and I'm like, yep, that's it. I'm not putting any more into these games. Because I understand it's gambling. That's all it is. And people love that dopamine hit of, oh, I got the thing. I got new thing. I got character I like. I got new waifu. And that's what a lot of gaming has become. Both in the East and the West. In the West, it's more hinged on stuff like engagement optimized matchmaking. It's not even skill-based matchmaking. It's entirely built around studies that have shown people who get close victories or close losses are more likely to play again because they'll go, oh, this time I'll get it. This time I'll win. It's the thrill, it's the excitement, it's the dopamine hit. It's something I was discussing with a friend of mine, how we were saying games are a lot different. I saw, related to all this, a big YouTuber, Moose Knuckle, hell of a name. But if you used to watch like Vanoss and all those guys back in the day, he played with them, still does. But he came out and said, hey, I'm stepping away from YouTube full time. Part of it was he was admittedly kind of reckless with his schedules in life, his health, all that, because other people would have recording schedules where it's like, oh, we're going to play at 3 to 7 a.m. And he would just do it because, hey, that's the people I work with. That's my schedule. I'm going to play then. Oh, this schedule fell through. Okay, well, I'll have to just put off whatever I'm doing and we'll play in 2 hours. And he realized, hey, that's bad for me. It sets a bad example for my kids. And one of the other things he pointed out was gaming has changed. And that was my big takeaway was, I mean, obviously, besides, like, take care of yourself, don't ruin your health or well-being for a job, whether it's YouTube or anything. But the big thing he had said was, gaming has changed. And you could make the argument that it's probably because of, like, matchmaking. I argue it's matchmaking. Some people say, oh, it's just because people have gotten sweaty because of YouTube and Twitch. I don't think it's that. I don't think YouTube and Twitch, while they definitely have an influence, I don't think it's as much of the effect. If we're going to be honest, yes, algorithm plays a huge role. It has compartmentalized people. Like, I bet you, oh glorious viewer, your suggested on the right hopefully has a lot of me in there, but also probably has Let me take a stab. Maybe Arch Warhammer, Chapter Master Valrak, Luton, 40K people. Am I right? Is it predominantly, or at least a decent sized 40K? The algorithm. It used to be, oh, this guy plays these games, maybe this other person plays a little bit of it, maybe it would kind of pitch, oh, you have similar tastes, not directly, but it would kind of gently nudge you and kind of form communities in a more general practice. Oh, you enjoy Inquisitor Martyr. Okay, so you like ARPGs. It might toss people who play Diablo. It might toss people who play Path of Exile. There's a Van Helsing one that I can't remember. I played it and it was actually pretty fun. But my mind is a sieve. But it would pitch that. It would go to that degree. Maybe it says, oh, well, you like looters. Okay, maybe we'll throw some Borderlands. But now it's so stringent, breaking out is a lot more difficult. But I don't think it's entirely that. I think a lot of it is matchmaking makes people sweatier. It's this forming of addiction. It's a lot of problems. That's not bad. We'll hold on to that. Actually, you know what? We'll go for it here and now. Otherwise, I'm gonna just tell myself no. Yeah, Reflect Chance kind of sucks, but Fear on critical hit, damage bonus for challenge skills, bonus against champions, worth it. And we'll actually sit down quick and cycle through everything, mostly just to empty out for our final mission. Okay. So last mission should be this one. 79, 77, 84. Okay, so it's this mission. Callous Hunt. We're not going to modify it. Not going to play that game. Going with all this, though, what I said, you know, these games being more EOMM, trying to put you into closer matches, there's actually something I saw just today. Apparently it's been around for years. There are programs people are using on PC to emulate controllers in, like, Call of Duty, or right now it's big in the finals. Some program, I can't remember the name, but it allows you to create a virtual controller, and the computers can do it, and the games will actually pick it up and go, oh, you're using a controller, and give the aim assist while you still get the precision and control of PC. There are people who are getting, like, no recoil or very little in stuff like the finals. And this kind of ties all into this increased sweatiness and games kind of changing. Because you're getting... I've seen the debate about aim assist all the time, and even big name COD players were like, it's always been this strong. I genuinely think they're kind of dumb with this, because it isn't. Older games had way less aim assist And the reason is, and it's pretty obvious, there wasn't crossplay. Crossplay has been kind of the devil in all this, because PC, you have to compete with PC. And PC players have increased precision and more control. You see guys on PC, I've seen it in Battlefield, where they're jumping, sliding around, just flying around like crackheads. And they're just dropping people left and right. But you can't do that on a controller. You can't swing your arm so wide you dislocate your elbow on your 2 billion DPI mouse, because it doesn't work. But the way to combat players with that high mobility, that high precision for a console player, is to just keep cranking your aim assist. Just make it stickier and stickier. This way they can't break it, and you reduce that gap. And it's reached a point where it's so high that PC players now get butt frustrated. Funny that now that they're on the receiving end of something kind of stupid, they get just absolutely furious. But they emulate it. Now they're going around using these programs, and you can say, well, there was stuff like the Cronus and the Zen and all that garbage for controllers. Yeah. Games have started to wisen up and work with Xbox and with Sony to detect these things and essentially say, hey, unplug this or we're going to ban you. Which I definitely think they should. Because I'll talk about it every time I can. Meg, aim assist, it was there, but it was not nearly as strong as games now. Especially when you hear people, oh, if you walk left and right in Call of Duty, you can trigger the rotational aim assist, and you just kind of sidestep left and right to trigger it, and then you can just aim normally and you'll just stick to them. And I'm like, this is horrible. But it also plays into mass appeal, plays into the engagement, optimized matchmaking. You gotta make it as easy as possible to get people in. Skill ceilings and skill gaps are bad. Personally, I think they're great. But I also think having a system where you're constantly put against people your skill, and if you ever exceed your skill, the system tries to instantly correct it as brutally as possible, is absurd. I believe I said before, Halo Infinite, you can look at your stats and it predicts what your score is going to be in your next match. The game essentially is telling you, potentially, yeah, you're going to have a 1.1 KD next game. We're going to try to set this up. You might be off a little, but I bet unless you are conscious of that prediction, you'll fall within that one, I'd say 9.5 to probably 1.25 range. We'll give it a 1.15 margin of error. You know, let's be generous. I don't know its actual margin of error. It could be far greater, it could be far less. But it's stuff like that. I know this has kind of strayed very far from the original topic, but it all kind of comes together because this is all, in its own way, kind of a slot machine. How much control do these games let you have? Did you really go, 20-3, or did the game just set you up into a lobby where people were worse? Were you really that good, or is this all rigged? And it's such a weird thing to think about, that games have become so heavy-handed in these methods that that's what it's become. And actually, intentionally looping it back to the restrictions. I saw a thing for Apex Legends, this is a side tangent for a moment, that you can get a Death Box skin for Final Fantasy. Like, it's a Final Fantasy skin. It's like the one-winged angel coffin. But people are saying you have to buy, like, their loot box thing so it can run you like $360. And I'm just sitting here going, yeah, I kind of see why they're putting restrictions, or why China would want to put restrictions on people buying stuff in games when this is the kind of crap studios are coming up with, and people willingly pay for it. Granted, we also see that in like COD Mobile. COD Mobile has... I've watched guys like Jokesta and some of the other bigger names, and they'll just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna drop like $200-$300 to get this gun skin, this legendary skin. It doesn't do anything, it's just a blueprint, and it has a kill effect. And maybe a transform on 3 kills and 5 kills. But people spend that. People will spend more on a single weapon skin than multiple fresh launch games. Now, do I think the government should step in on this stuff? No, I just wish people would have accountability. People would step in and go, I'm getting screwed. I'm paying far more money for a single skin than anything is worth. I made the argument long ago talking about Fallout 76. You could buy a power armor skin that was Liberty Prime, and you'd get Liberty Prime and then like Shadow Liberty Prime, which was just all black. And you could get in it, and when you'd enter combat, it would play like Communist Detected and all this stuff. It was $18. 2 power armor skins were $18, but you could buy Fallout 4's Far Harbor DLC for $15. Fully voiced questline, new area, new weapons, new enemies, $15. Or you can spend $18 for a single power armor skin. And people did it. People bought this stuff in droves. And it is unfortunate, because I see people all the time, oh, I make enough money. Yeah, but you're also stupid. Just because you can buy something that's expensive doesn't mean you should. I always make the argument, gold-plated or gold-covered fried chicken. I looked it up a couple days ago because I knew I was going to bring it up this very video. Because it's edible gold leaf. Take a stab as to how much edible gold leaf is. Just pitch a number. For like 20, I believe it's like 1.5 by 1.5 inch sheets. It's like $6. And there are people who go, oh, I'll pay like $55 for 2 chicken legs. $55 for stuff I can buy dirt cheap. For like $15, I could get gold leaf that's edible, that is silver, I could get gold, and I could get rose gold as a bundle. I could have all the golden fried chicken I ever wanted. I could have golden fried chicken, I could have golden hamburgers, I could have golden steaks. And it's far cheaper than going to some restaurant that's clearly screwing you over. But, like the saying goes, a fool and his money are easily separated. And for some people, it's the status. Oh yeah, I can oddly enough, this is also something I mentioned before, how there are $400 skins in a lot of, like, Chinese mobile games, especially in FPSs. And you'd see it, and it was because it is a cultural thing of, I have the money that I can spend. I can throw it away on a gold M14 skin, or an M4, or an AK. And to a degree, we see it here. We're not that different. It's just how these things manifest themselves. Man, it's just these kind of things that remind you how weird the whole industry is at this point. And it makes me wonder, is there a chance of course correction? I'd like to think there is. I don't know what it'll take. Because I don't want to sit here and be 100% doom and gloom, nah, we're all screwed, we're not gonna make it, so on and so forth. Because I try to be optimistic, I try to have hope. Because otherwise, I can't imagine things lasting much longer. We're in a strange time with very strange situations at hand. I just hope it improves.
Such a trap against an Inquisitor. A few turrets will stop me. Charge! I said charge!
Man, the controller emulator thing just kills me, though. And it is sad to say, like, yeah, crossplay is the problem. Consoles and PC need to be partitioned. As much as it sucks for PC players losing, honestly, a large player base, and realistically, if Call of Duty is anything to go off of, that side of the games will languish. Because older CODs, we all remember having just really bad PC ports and just nobody playing them. Everybody would just say, screw it, we're going to console, because that's where the players are. But it's like, if you guys keep causing these problems and the only solution is to buff the console side so heavily, I think it's better off for everyone. Because there's no way to properly introduce parity. Like, it's just the reality of it. There's no way to properly have that parity that's needed. And especially for competitive shooters. When it's stuff like Warframe, nobody cares about if consoles have aim assist or if someone's simulating a controller on PC. Because it's PvE. That's completely irrelevant. But PvP shooters, they gotta watch it. Not to mention just like the sheer number of hackers, man. The number of people just like walling, people walling is just, it's gross. And it plays into the EOMM and this whole system because people can never play casually. And that's a big thing, is like, when you play in a close match, you're likely sweating. You're trying as hard as you can. And I've seen this brought up a lot, where people say you don't get, I think it was actually the guy who did the matchmaking for Halo 2. He said you don't get to experience any rest. You don't get an easy match where you can kind of just chill, or get a tough match where you're just like, yeah, screw it, I'm losing anyway, so I'm just gonna goof around, use a meme build. Just have fun. Because at that point, why try? It's always... you're trying your hardest, and people don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. That's why I gravitated towards like Ground War or Battlefield or Mag back in the day, because I could just chill. One man can't make or break a team. So if I really didn't feel like trying too hard, I could still do stuff and help, but I wasn't having to sit there and lock it in and go crazy, because that gets tiring. And even from like, from a content creation standpoint, I don't like focusing 100% on the game. Yeah, I do focus quite heavily on the game, because I don't want to sit here and give you guys just the most mediocre brain-dead gameplay. You know, where I'm sitting here talking, it's just me, like, shooting into a wall for 10 minutes, even though I will walk around for a bit if I have a point to make. Or have me play a shooter and go, like, 3-20, because that's not entertaining. Nobody wants to see someone get stomped. But it's also like, I want to just hang out. That is, by and large, that's kind of how I like to present stuff to all of you, is just, we're just chilling. That's all. A couple of dudes, or, I don't know, maybe there's a woman in the audience, I don't know. But we're just vibing, playing games.
There was a protective hex on the chest.
I mean, this is more or less how I am hanging out with friends. Just sitting on the couch, just talking.
See what's so important in the chest.
And yeah, sometimes it's fun to kind of sweat and be like, oh, I gotta be a try-hard. But it's just, it's not fun when it's every day. I get if you're doing ranked. Ranked can be as sweaty as you want it to be. That's why I don't do ranked. I briefly tried ranked in League of Legends and was just like, nah. I got yelled at enough playing casual in League. I'll never forget, I've told this story before, but I'll never forget the guy I was playing League with a buddy of mine in college, and he was playing like Renekton top, and I'm like, okay, I'll play support Thresh. It's what I do. And there's other guys like, do you mind if I play Twisted Fate ADC? I'm like, look, I'm not your mother, I don't really care. If you suck, you suck. Like, that's on you. So he picks Twisted Fate, gets just mugged. This dude is getting his ass beat anytime anyone enters the lane. I'm doing my best. I'm fighting for my life here. And this dude's just screaming at me. Blaming me. I'm like, dude, who's the one who picked the non-ADC for the ADC? And he would like run into fights and get beat, and I'm like, that's not my fault. I would lantern to the guy to try to get him out, and he'd just be like, no, I don't wanna. Okay, dude. Then perish. Like, I'm a semi-combat support. To some degree, I'm sitting here throwing down. If you needed, like, a pocket medic, you should have said, can you play Soraka? Instead of getting all butt frustrated about it. Kinda wish there was something like a MOBA to play, but I don't really vibe with Smite. I don't like Overwatch, I just can't get into it, and God knows it's filled with enough problems right now. I keep saying it, if Battleborn had held out a little longer, they would have come out on top. And if they didn't decide to sell DLC, like story content. God, Gearbox is really locked into like one business style. They got one business method and one business method only. But at least the characters were fun to play as. They're always unique.
Inquisitor, there must be a teleport beacon nearby.
That would be this one. Alright, let's get my... Do I need my number roller? Really? Yeah. Actually, we know... We got 4. Okay, so yeah, we do need it.
Ready to fight.
Alright. Dice roller ready. Let's open our supreme chest. Okay, I saw some halfway decent stuff in there, but I wasn't, like, too hyped. Oh my god, we do not have space. Yeah, so we're doing a quick, like, discard run. I did not realize that this much loot had dropped. That's kinda my bad. But also, why is there this much loot? I swear, half the time these final missions are like, oh yeah, here. And it gives you like 4 blues, and the game's just like, yeah, enjoy that. You earned it. And then this time it's just like, oh yeah, so we filled like 4 tabs worth. That's good, right? Okay. Got enough space. Blueprints, tarot cards, void shards, morality relics. We're cracking that open here and now. Ancient relics, psalm codes. Yeah, so... I saw a power axe. I'm already sad. Psalm codes, I don't really, like... So, realistically, I don't care about blueprints. Tarot cards and void seals have value. Psalm codes have value. That would give us 2 to spread across these 4, or we just completely roll it and do 6, because I'm not taking blueprints. You know, we're going to take it just because the shards are useful, the tarot cards, God knows we need them. We'll take the psalm codes, we can get good stuff out of them, hopefully. Okay, we got screwed. I made a mistake. Left to right, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. So we rolled 1, and then middle to right, 1, 2, 3. Rolled a 4, 3. Okay, so we're taking the first and last. Not terrible. Not great, but not terrible. Ew, crafting materials. I'm a little sad. But I don't think either of these were going to be that good either. Hooray! Also, did I get a seasonal boss mission? Would you look at that? Next episode we get to start with that too. Man, we are just knocking these out like crazy. Okay, get that done. Wait a second. Okay, yeah, I did finish this. I was like, don't tell me I forgot about this again. Alright, let's see what we got. Don't care. 6-slot armor, boys. We finally got it. I don't care about that minus 33% quality because we can trick this out. We can turn this into a beast, and we're rerolling that melee damage reduction. Actually, that's incoming melee. Okay, we'll keep it. I was about to say, we're going to dumpster that, but nope. Power Axe. Wow, that is very, very, very specific. Bonus against demons, Drakari, Tyranids, and Eldar, but only engaged by one enemy. Okay, dude, that is trash. 4-stat, shield, Signum of Toxins, not even gonna bother because it's poison. I don't even have to say or look at it. T-Bolt. Poison skill hit, trash. Massacre effect, pass. Massacre effect, pass. Chance to trigger a judgment spell on hit. Not terrible. Shock on poison skill and bonus damage on bleeding effects, that's... No. I mean, I can reroll them, but I'm not guaranteed to get anything better. Also, I prefer just slow on burning hit. It's more straightforward. No. I don't care about focus state. There's probably a focus build. I'm not doing it. So I lose loot quantity, which kind of sucks, and shield. But might be able to get something good out of that. We'll give it a try. We'll save our normal one. I don't care about the las pistol. Enrage tokens on judgment spell trigger. I'm not... That's getting real specific, and I'm having to retool the build a lot if I'm doing that. No, T-Bolt. Even though that loot quantity is nice, it's also a 4-statter. Nope. Berserk token on judgment. Oh, because these are the named. No. Power Sword, pass. No. Definitely not. Nope. Yeah, a lot of these are kind of dookie, but that's fine. We got some good ones. We got armor that's definitely... I'm going to have to sort that out at some point, but we'll be able to do some cool stuff with that. Man, look at all this. Kind of wish they'd have a Archaeotech tab that you could just nuke all of them. I get they want people to look through these, but sometimes you just get trash. And that's kind of what favoriting is for, is to prevent you from destroying something. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Wait. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.